All righty. Welcome back to another episode of Carbines and Cantrips Book Club. This week is part two, or part deux for the French speakers out there, of Academy of Outcasts by Larry Correia. So it's going to be chapters 11 through 25 tonight. And yeah, it got a bit spicy this week, or this section. We got introduced to Trax and Azarin, I think is her name. Am I saying that
I
right?
was pronouncing it Azarin in my head, but
Azarin?
Yeah.
It's always like with fantasy name. Like, I never know, like, how exactly do you pronounce the fantasy name?
Yeah, it's however you want
it. Yeah. Tyler is not going to be coming tonight. He's behind on he's working on a book for Wargate, and he's putting his nose to the grindstone, as they say. Jesse should be here, but he's not here yet, so hopefully he hops in a second. But yeah, what do you? I know you're liking it too, man. I guess what was your favorite part in this chunk of book?
Man, it's hard to say because this was kind of where the book started. I feel like the first 10 chapters were kind of the setup, and then the rest of this book is clearly going to be the action of this. You had him escape from his indentured servitude. You had him get to the main city, and it's all obviously going to be an urban city. Like, it's going to be a city-based adventure for the rest of it. You had him meet his crew, his buddies. And you had the stakes. Towards the end, you realized, oh crap, yeah. I've got a time limit on me before somebody we've established at the very first moment is incredibly scary.
Yeah.
He is going to be coming for me in just a little bit of time. So that's kind of the stakes. So this is kind of where the novel sets up.
Yeah.
He had exactly, the first, 10 out of 50. So, that's almost like the formula. That's 20%. But yeah. He said the first 20% as set up or basically started the story. And now we're in the main part of it. I loved every part of it, but the Drax, XB, and Trax had to be probably the highlight. I think from what I'm hearing online, other people are getting really enthusiastic about Trax as well.
Yeah, Trax. Real quick, Matthew Bowman said, I just found out I could put comments on the screen. That's dope. Said narrator used as Aaron. But once again, he had trouble with Brazier. Who knows? I don't even know if I say Brazier right. Brazier.
It's a brazier if it is the fire, and it's brassiere or brazier if it's the women's underwear.
Yeah.
So.
With the stakes, dude, I feel like on top of his time, the countdown basically, and then the big baddie coming to get him. Also, like, he has like his safe base or whatever. His salvation is getting into an academy, so he's claimed by somebody. But then you also like see how impossible it is to get claimed. So it's just like another element too to add into those stakes, and the complexity of it all. But yeah, dude, Trax is. I think he's probably going to be the fan favorite for everybody. He's my favorite. It's just so funny, like his super literal, naiveness. I don't know where I say the word I'm looking for, but just like he doesn't understand human anything, and like his when they first meet and he swoops the whole thing of jerky when he's learning how to share, then he goes and gets that rattling. That was I laughed out loud. The part where because he can like read people's minds and stuff, so when he's like kind of eavesdropping on Azarin's mind, and he's like, "Am I cute?" I was dying on that one, dude.
That was such a good line. Yeah, every part of his every one of his lines, you can tell. I'm sure that the writer was just cackling when he wrote the character because he's like, everything he does is so easy. Like, it's so easy to make funny when you have like a big, literal, terrifying shark man.
Yeah, who goes to the fountain and eats pigeons and ducks on the low. Dude, his everything, like just like interacting with people and being like, is he being rude? Should I eat him? So, oh my gosh, like every time, like, should I eat him? Can I eat him? Just the answer to everything. I think I agree with your. You said it in the chat, not on the stream, but he's kind of like a combination of Drax and Shark. I think maybe is there like a little bit of Spock in there too, because I feel like he might be smarter than Drax, because there's that one scene where when he pulls him out of the water and he's basically like, oh, you can see his like anatomy. He's like, you're hypothermic. I don't know. He seemed like he might be a little bit smarter than Drax is.
Yeah, I think that's the point. I like the Spock thing. Yeah, the not understanding how people are. Like, the would you be interested in mating with her? You should kill a whale. That one episode.
Great.
Like it's there's a lot of fun to be had with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole like mixing like two characters together from like extremely different cultures that to the point they're almost alien to each other is so funny. Or it can be so funny. Oh, thanks. That's how you say it. I'm gonna put it on there. I'm just not gonna say it right. Naivete. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that too with Oz. Females love whales. Yes, they do. I like how basically like the shark dudes are also. I go on side tangents all the time, but I like how they're basically like war criminals against every race. Every race is like all those guys. What are they called again? I should have wrote that down.
Oh gosh, I mean, they're clearly his version of Sahawan, or oh gosh, now that's controversial pronunciation. The Sharkmen from D&D.
Yeah,
Sahagwan, like everybody fights over that one. Everybody battles over that because from the spelling of it, it looks like it should be pronounced like Celtic language, and by definition, anything that's Celtic doesn't look like, doesn't pronounce like it should. But they're basically the shark people from D&D. I forget what their term was, but I just immediately assumed he was a Sahagwan and ran around with it. But a very brutish, happy one too.
Yeah. I really like all the races he has in here, because at first I thought it was just like the standard elf, dwarf, gnome, whatever. But then he's got like, obviously he's got the shark dudes. Down below, there's the ratlings, there's the frog guys. They're always making soup, which is cool. And then there's lizard guys down there. There's a blacksmith with 4 arms. That was cool. Yeah, what else are you gonna do? You got 4 arms. That's a good job to have. And then there was that one guard in front of one of the schools. I can't remember. He had like bumpy skin.
The lob. Yes.
Yeah, the lob. So just like a way bigger universe than I was originally thinking.
It gets kind of that Star Wars cantina effect, where you have that big weird, everything is strange. You start with elves and dwarves as mentioned early, and he mentions dwarves when he talks about the fire mining, and he sees an elf in the first bit. So that's the start, but everything after that, everything after the elves and dwarves is going to be, it's D&D stuff because D&D has every single race all the time, but it is, it's a bunch of weirdo races. It's all kinds of Star Wars cantina stuff. And so that's where it is. Hey, Jesse.
Howdy.
On,
I finally won the knife fight with my internet.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're just we're talking races and favorite moment / character in this section.
Got it. Where do we? Again, y'all forgive me. I really got wrapped up in the book. I've already finished. Where does this stop? So I know where my line is.
So basically, it's he starts with he gets a job, or he gets on the wagon or whatever, and then he goes through the gate. And then it ends when that what's his name? Dardic, the ambassador, the Argent's son, the middle child of the noble family, captures him and is like interrogating him. And then the Wind Girl Azarin shows up and tracks, and they rescue him, and then they have to go haul ass out of there, and that's the end of the chapter.
Cool, sweet. All right, I know where to stick between.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I assume Trax has already come up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
If you look at chat, you can see quotes like "females love whales." And
am I cute?
Yeah. Am I does she mean me? Am I the cute one?
Swallow. That's what he's called, a swallow.
Yeah, the street shark. That's what he is. He's
So
a
cool,
'90s street shark.
Dude, I just love how like out of touch she is with like culture of the human culture. It's so funny. Like him just going off and eating birds at the fountains is so funny. Yeah, he's such a great character. And he's always like just in the background being imposing. And when that like the lob went to go hit Oz, and Oz was like, it's not even gonna be that hard, but then he just like Drax grabs the halberd or whatever it was, and he's like, nah, dude, ain't hit my homie.
Oh.
Yeah, I also love his like if Oz becomes like not useful, he doesn't mean like in a menacing way, but if he dies or becomes not useful, maybe he'll just eat Oz, you know.
Yep. Make sure he doesn't go to waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, he said he was going to be sad about it, which was sweet.
Yeah.
If I ate you, I'd be sad about it.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I love how Oz, he's kind of, I mean, he's not as bad as Trax, but he's kind of in a similar situation where he doesn't understand the culture of, I forgot what it's called, the Nexus, the hub.
The Nexus.
Yeah, the Nexus. And he just, like, it's causing him to maybe blunder into bad situations, or at the very least, he has to kind of take a leap of faith and put his trust in other people because he doesn't know exactly how things work here. So he had to trust like that old lady. I can't remember what she was doing, like hanging out by a burning barrel or something. I don't know what she was doing, but you know, and she told him where the other Fogo people are at, and that turned out to be a disaster. And then he has to put his trust in Trax and Azarin, which hopefully, I mean, that looks like it's going to work out good for him. I love the line where he's like, when he goes to sleep for the first time with Trax, and he's like, and he's my first friend that I made it in the Nexus. Giant shark monster eating rats.
Eating scarily sentient rats with small hands.
Small hands. I love that. Like Trax tries to like project images into people's heads, and like he goes to go get Oz back from the other Fogo dudes, and he's like, yeah, there's this like big shark guy down there, and he's like, or I don't know if he said shark, maybe you just saw him in the whatever, big guy down there, and he's putting like things in my head of dead rats.
I think the layers of social ineptitude are enjoyable because Oz is like his guide or whatever to show him around and be like, oh yeah, this is how things work. But Oz doesn't know how any of this crap works either. It's like the truth is Oz doesn't know much more than Drax does. He's just used to people. He understands like humans, but he doesn't understand the local culture at all either.
Yeah, it's good hijinks, dude. Matthew Bowman said Larry's good at these big serious characters. He likes taking the dumb brute stereotype and flipping it somehow. Never the same way twice. Yeah, I just found out how to put comments on the screen, by the way, so that's cool. Although I'm blocking Jesse's face off when I do that.
Fine. It pops up and down.
It's the least important part of me anyway. So yeah, we're all right.
Matt said he'd be far more hilarious than King Shark if he met Flash. Yeah. Was that in Suicide Squad? Is that King Shark or is that a different shark villain?
That's King Shark.
King Shark. I did not like in Suicide Squad. I thought that character was lame. Well, all the characters are kind of lame in Suicide Squad. They're just like overly cheesy and not in a good way, in my opinion. Shots fired if anyone was a big Suicide Squad fan.
Even though go ahead, Jesse.
Well, I was just gonna say the feeling's very different in the comics. The movies don't capture the same Suicide Squad feeling. Yeah.
No shade against the comics.
Yeah,
dude.
Well, I was just saying with your, I will say you were talking about how he went to Oz, asked for Trax to come and get Azarin. They see Inspector Borg. Thank you, Larry, for having a bunch of names that are pronounceable. I have really, that is something that gets screwed up so often in so many fantasy books. This is going to be some sort of hyper special, fantastical name that's not like ours, so nobody knows. Most famously, Quoth, or however you're supposed to pronounce it as Quoth, right? The Patrick Rothfuss Cavoti
Oh Lord.
spelling. I appreciate that throughout this entire thing, all of the people have names that are understandable.
I haven't
Just
actually
a
read
shout
any of
out
that
as a
guy's
nice
books.
thing. I mean, you're not missing much.
Yeah, I mean, he's another, Martin, right? So he hasn't finished the series.
Kinda.
It's much less sad.
Yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, I also I like all the pieces that we got going on in specifically the Nexus. Like we have like all these different factions. Like we have the Watch and the schools and potential bounty hunters coming back from his plane and different gangs. There's like the ones in the slums that are after him, and then there's like the gang. I can't remember their name, but they control basically the underslums and traffic back and forth. So they charge tolls. But it seems kind of like at least the interaction he had with the toll guard guy seemed like they kind of have like a legit kind of business model. Like, okay, they paid him and they didn't like try to shake him down for more. He gave him the money and he let him go by for like a week, I think it was, which is kind of interesting.
Well, Larry always does a good job of understanding history, but there's a history to most organized crime that had some kind of legitimacy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the big gangs that we now know as like some of the most terrible people, they were being oppressed or terrorized by somebody and ganged up to take care of that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And when the problem stopped being a problem, they continued to gain power and influence and wanted to, and all of a sudden they're selling drugs and they're doing whatever, and it becomes this whole big thing. So a lot of modern gangs, mafias, things like that have some kind of origin in this semi-legitimate business.
Yeah.
And I think Larry did a good job of capturing that, of where the local gang, at least in that one section, like the roughest dudes, they are legitimately trying to bring some sort of order to this lawless area. They're not doing a great job, but they're trying to make their money and keep things some kind of stable too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we didn't get much interaction with them, but I'm interested to see. I'm sure they're going to come back later, if not in this book, maybe a later book, as a more some kind of a plot point.
Yeah,
excited to see how they come back. I read a couple other ones. Oh, the elf that he saves, that he like lifts when she gets trapped under the wagon, because it seemed like a very significant kind of exchange. One that he like sought her out, that she read his band, and now we know that band has some relation to the lost seventh realm of time, which I want to hear more about that. Like the fall, I think is what they refer to it as, and we haven't really heard how exactly that realm got shut off. Right, it's just like the fall, and it's been shut down. So yeah, I want to see how that comes back up. I'm curious to see like how the because at this point I feel like Oz is just getting hit with so many examples or whatever of why he's not going to make it. Like, first, Trax is like the worst support animal ever, and, and like all the all the schools are just super condescending D heads. The other students are assholes. He got in a fight with that thug wizard who like had that one spell, but it was like super powerful. And he's like, dang, that guy's level 1. He can do all that. So it's like he's like getting this. I don't know if he's getting this idea in his head that maybe he can't do this because a sheer number of other applicants that can't get in. There's just so much competition. And now he's picked up this wind girl who also couldn't get in, even though she had a sweet like anime wind gauntlet that she could like throw wind tunnels at the ground. Yeah, are they just? I mean, the book's called Academy Outcasts. So I'm like, are they gonna just get together with a bunch of level 1s? They're like, screw it, we'll just tinker around and have an army of misfits, basically. You know?
That maybe that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I will say I'm a little disappointed. I don't think there's any point in the novel where he looms over the city on some sort of rooftop with his
Batman.
hood over him. I was promised that by the cover, and that's one thing that didn't get delivered.
Well, I do think that is actually a scene. I think it's just a stop motion scene of that's actually right before a certain section that I don't know if we've gotten that far yet, but I think that happens for just literally a moment.
I don't think it's where I'm at. I'm only 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's funny to see the all the world building aspects and know that he's on some like to know that he has basically pants the novels is kind of interesting because there's clearly setups and payoffs coming in. But at the same time, if he's also novelizing a D&D campaign or several and playing with some of his friends characters, then there's got to be some histories there that he's pulling on.
Yeah, a lot
he's
of
clearly having a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm the pantsiest of pantsers, and I advocate being the pantsiest of pantsers. You still edit the book afterwards. Like that's the whole job of a pantser is to let it roll and then go back and make it look like it was all on purpose later. So, but I do agree. It makes it much easier when the material is already there.
Yeah. No, I did. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Matt was he made a comment about the weird names in books. The issue with putting in weird names is that just because you know how to say it doesn't mean everyone else does. Languages often have weird sound combinations for English speakers. My usual example is the word Spanish, which is almost impossible for a native Spanish speaker to say because they don't have any words that start with SP. Meanwhile, until the MCU, most American speakers stumbled over Mjolnir. We don't have words that start with MJ, even if you know the J is a Y sound.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have a buddy named Shell whose name starts with KY or KJ.
Yeah.
And every time I see it, I want to say kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when I had him on, I was like, "Hey, Anders, what's your first name?" He said Shell, and I was like, "I didn't hear that right. What's your name? What's your name?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, super Viking name, awesome. Matt said Larry did such a fun job teasing out the world building, so you get just a little bit of information with a lot of questions, and then you get more info to answer those while getting more questions. It's a classic weak to strong progression story, but done so much better than many prog fantasies out there because the plot progression isn't tied to the power progression. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. That's a huge problem with a lot of progressive fantasy and lit RPG is they feel like they have to shoehorn in plot progression equals the level progression, whereas this book is not concerned with that. There's clearly in-game, in-world levels, but he's not letting that limit him to what needs to be done, including the fact that levitation is a second level spell. She is extremely Azarin's very overpowered to have as a first level wizard to be able to have levitate.
Yeah, they have a second level spell slot.
Yeah, I mean Featherfall is nice. That's her descend thing.
Yeah,
but the which was a great introduction, by the way. Her impressively being able to rise and then her impressively floating into a big thorn bush.
Yeah, a wall of thorns.
That was great. that was a really good introduction to make sure she had a nice contrast with her imperious cussing and that was a good character introduction.
Yeah,
and that's like a fourth level spell, Bruce. Wall of Thorns.
Wall of Thorns, yeah. It's a freaking battlement. It keeps people out. It's this huge, wall she gets stuck in. That was funny, dude. She's just like cussing out all the guards.
Well, and the guards. What was funnier to me was the guards yelling at her to get out of there. Like, "Hey, you get out of there!" Like, what the hell you think I'm trying to do right now, jackass? Like,
yeah, she's spunky, dude. I like her.
The misfit thing really is going well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's enjoyable. The how many different ways can someone be pushed to the edge, but still continue to find a way has always been like it's a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if her family is like they were once prominent and then they kind of fell from grace, kind of thing. Because at least as far as I'm at, she kind of mentions her family a little bit, and she like announces that she's the daughter of whoever her dad is, which nobody seemed to care. But yeah, so I'm interested to see a little more about her backstory, and then her relationship with Oz. So I like. I'm not a shipper, but I like a good romance in my stories.
Yeah. Well, and that's also kind of how like provincial towns work. So like I grew up close to a town called Snellville that is named after the Snells. But if you didn't grow up in Snellville or live around Snellville, nobody cares who the Snells are. Like that was never if you walked into the middle of Atlanta and was like, "Yeah, I'm Jim Snell," like that meant something. Nobody cares. And like, okay, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah. I really like all of your. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I feel like there's a similar dynamic here with the Nexus, where the Nexus is New York City.
Yeah.
And nobody in New York City cares if you're from somewhere else and you're some big name from somewhere else.
I was the starting quarterback in '94.
Uncle Rico.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's like, because they kind of get into the bureaucracy of like the magic and how you even get to level 10 and how you can get on the council, which I think they said was like level 13, which sounds pretty nar. But like, I feel like he put a lot of attention on that. At least maybe not a lot of attention, but he at least made it like known there for when Oz was going around trying to get into the schools. So I'm wondering if like a rogue level 10 or some other kind of dejected higher level wizard is going to run into them and kind of like teach them, or maybe the bounty hunter from Fogo is going to be like, you know what, you guys seem all right. I'll just be your teacher. Let's go start our own school. I don't know.
Well, I will say he was very specifically introduced as level 8 at the beginning.
Yeah.
Gal Hadar. So did either of the two of you get I don't know, well, I'm assuming you guys have read all the way through so far in the Dresden Files. Did any of you get the attack of the outsiders on the White Council effect when in the market with the caustic spell blasting in the middle of a bunch of high-level wizards?
I have not read Dresden Files. It's on my list. I'm building the collection. Yeah.
You need to read Dresden Files.
Yeah.
Because I realize that's like 17 books, but
yeah. Hey man, drop everything, read these 17 books, and then we'll talk about it again. Yeah, no, I've read them all, and a little bit. I didn't draw a direct line to the two. I do feel like, how can I put this? I feel like there's an intentional kind of Dresden effect. So Harry's funny to me because Harry is like a walking time. He's Harry's a walking nuclear bomb. That's the best way I can describe it. But instead, everybody, like the council and everybody, treats him like crap. And I'm sorry, if I thought this dude was a walking nuclear bomb, I'd be nice to him. And for some reason, these idiots don't understand after like the 5th or 6th time that Harry ends up defeating or killing someone 800 times more powerful than him. Maybe you should just leave Harry the hell alone. And that never happens. Like, they continue to poke the bear, and it's like, dude, stop! Like I hate this damn bear. Poke, 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 poke. Like, dude, what is wrong with you? And I think that we see a little bit of a sleeping bear in this one, not just with Oz, who's clearly going to continue to learn, but like that dude at the in the gang that like was clearly just some street rat, but could blow stuff totally up. Like, there's power running around here that the schools are just ignoring and treating like crap. But slum wizards around here clearly are more than just slummers. Like, there's dudes floating all around that are really more than they seem. And then you stack the politics on top of it of like, oh, well, the only way you ever get to level 10 is by the council, like, or like the council has to approve past level 10 or whatever. And it's like, dude, that's not how progression works. That's like, so you got a bunch of level 10 guys running around that can probably smoke level 15 dudes because they made somebody mad, but they've been off fighting in the back corner of the universe for 10 years. Like, okay, bro, whatever. So I do think that there's a similar feeling there of like, the way that people understand magic now is not complete, and Oz represents some new change in that.
Yeah. He's a wild card for sure, dude.
Yeah.
In regards to progression literature and lit RPG, Matt said that's something I was told had to be in lit RPG in Prague, which I think is talking about the progression. The numbers are the character progression. I rejected that worldview and substituted my own. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I tried to read like He Who Slays Monsters or whatever. I didn't really like it that much. It was, I don't know if it was like too like it wasn't breaking fourth wall, but it was just like, I don't know, it pulled me out too much. The fact that there was like this menu he can manipulate, I wasn't really for me. It wasn't my style.
When it comes to lit RPG and in some ways to progression fantasy, there's this really wide acceptable variance of, I don't know, what's a good word for how serious a story takes itself? There's a wide variance in that. So you can get stories that take themselves not seriously at all, and then stories that take themselves super serious, and they all pack into the genre, and the readers to some large degree accept it all. Yeah. And that can make or break a story for some people, because there's some people that they need that seriousness to kind of stay focused, and there's other people that are like, oh yeah, sure, there's glowing alien butt slugs coming out of his butt. Like, yeah, sure, that's like whatever, that's normal. Haha, that's funny. It's like, the best example I can think is from heavy metal. There's lots of heavy metal bands that are like just literally joke meme bands. And it's like, dude, I don't care how good you play. If your if your lyrics are about like hitting on your bro in the locker room, we're not doing this today. And there's literally an entire band that's devoted to like bad bro, frat boy, like homoerotic humor. Literally, the band's name is Bro Job, and it's like, I don't care how good of a musician you are. This sucks. Like, I can't take this serious. And so that's there's some play that happens in lit RPG and in progression fantasy where it's like some people just take it too unseriously, and some people take it way too serious. But it's all allowed. There's somebody that'll read it.
I'm really curious. Obviously the book has done well, like extremely well. It got to #1 for a little while there in its categories. But I mean, a lot of that's Larry Correia. He was having a crazy successful Kickstarter at the same time. He had a lot of build for that. I'm really curious to see. I mean, I guess I could ask. I kind of know a couple guys over at Athon. I'd be curious to know if Athon's usual customers have embraced it, because Athon has kind of built itself as the lit RPG place.
Yep.
And they have a lot of very traditional, number go up lit RPG. They make a ton of money from it. More power to them for that. So I'd be curious to know if a lot of their big lit RPG audience has embraced this, or if it's been a little bit too trad for them. I mean, there's no way of knowing unless you have the numbers on their demos.
Yeah, Rick Partlow writes a lot for Athon, right?
Well, yes. So Athon as a publishing house, and this is me from what I'm seeing, but nobody's ever denied it. Athon is a bunch of guys who love military science fiction, who publish lit RPG to fund their love of military science fiction.
Okay.
So I think they sell lit RPG because all the founders adore mil sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
So Partlow, Haskell do that. I mean, they'll publish, if Larry Correia comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want to work with you," I don't care. I'm going to form an LLC right now, and I'm going to publish Larry Correia because, and they publish,
money.
right. They publish. I don't think they do a lot of techno thrillers, but they published a great Timothy Zahn tech thriller. I really, really enjoyed the Timothy Zahn tech thriller they published, but that's because it was Timothy Zahn. I don't think that was because that's kind of their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So again, it's something I'd just be curious about because, like I said, Athon has become the lit RPG house, and they've gotten very successful because of that.
Yeah.
I just wonder if this is more, because this feels more trad. I mean, I'm not a huge lit RPG guy, so I really enjoy this for the fantasy aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like the exact kind of fantasy that I really like, as far as like the world setting, the lore, where like it's like I mentioned it last time. It's very lived in. Like there's all these systems in place. The magic, the classes, the cultures. It's not just like this is a fantasy setting and there's big castles and there's all these races. Everything kind of feels like it is like intentional and kind of fleshed out. So those like vivid worlds like that in fantasy is what makes me like fantasy versus not like fantasy, I guess. Because there's some fantasies out there I don't really care. They don't draw me in. Matt says, as for seriousness, Tolkien said the one thing that cannot be parodied in fantasy is the magic itself. I've seen that successful, funny lit RPGs poke fun at tropes, but not the system. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, and I think the humor in this is great. And I really have had a really good time with it. And I enjoy those funny, like you said, making fun of the tropes kind of deal. Like, I'm a huge Dungeon Crawler Carl fan. And I've enjoyed some of the more cozy fantasy, like heretical fishing, that kind of turns, some of the concepts on their head just a little bit. But I think that it just, the vibe is always the hardest part to nail in any kind of build, and it's also the one that's the most it's the most subject to taste. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Matt said, just think Bruce gets to read Dresden for the first time. None of us will ever be able to do that again. Yeah.
Yeah. I've
got like 4 or 5. I'm slowly just like, I want to collect at least a good chunk of the series before I start. So I've got, I don't know, I find them like used book sales and I scoop them up. So I think I got like the first couple and then I got like some farther down. I want to fill that gap in before I start them.
They're fast reads. It'll be an easy one to burn through when you get there, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I hear it really picks up and gets, not that the early ones are bad, but I hear it gets a lot better as the series kind of goes on.
So you have this thing where the first couple are, I think Jim was kind of feeling the character out still just a little bit.
Yeah. And
on top of that, they're very self-contained. So the first, I want to say 5 are very, it's 4 or 5 are like a case. And it feels very, wizard detective noir kind of feeling. And then from there, the world continues to build up and suddenly we're talking about ongoing plots and then it becomes a series. It feels more like a series.
Yeah.
And I think that picks a lot of people up a little bit better than the enclosed case files. The first one, I want to compare them a little bit to Hawk and Fisher from Simon R. Green, which was like, think fantasy detectives, like there's a little bit of that same feeling there of the Hawk and Fisher novels, even though they're often sold together and sold in big omnibus, they're always self-contained tales. And it was just like this one crazy case. And so I think that hit a lot of people. And Harry grows as a character, maybe more than any other character I've ever read.
Yeah.
As far as like Harry in book 1 and Harry in book 5 and Harry in book 10 and Harry in book 17 are all totally different people almost. They have same core principles, but all of the crazy things that have happened and all his experiences are noticeable in his character.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you see that with like popular TV shows, like the first season, whether it's successful or like, you know, the show obviously gets picked up, but like you can tell the actors haven't really felt out the character yet. And then as the seasons go on, they kind of get more into a rhythm. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I just finished Monster Hunter Legion this week, and I feel like I've kind of got to the point now where I'm seeing Owen take a big shift in his character towards the end there because of his decisions, the decision he had to make that cost people their lives. So yeah, even as you know, at the epilogue where he goes to see his dad, and his dad like kind of sees that look in his eye. I don't know. I feel like the next book I read, which I think is Nemesis, which I don't know if he's in that. I think that's the Frank's book. But yeah, I think the next time I read a book with Owen, I'm excited to see how he's changed.
I think Owen's in it a little bit, not much.
Okay. Barely, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for a second there you were talking about the Dresden Files TV show, by the way, which I was going to say is not. Although I will go to bat for Paul Blackthorne as a pretty good Harry Dresden. Like he did a pretty good. He did it well, but the show itself was not at all. That's a little sad for them. You guys talking about it. I see definitely some Dresden, but I was just thinking, I was like, there is a fantasy series that this reminds me of. And I was trying to think, and I realized our daughter is a voracious reader. And she was, she's like, I'm 13 now. There's some of the more mature books that I can read. And we just told her, yeah, why don't you go read Magician by Raymond Feist? I don't know if either of you have read that.
No, but his name makes him sound like a DC magician.
Oh, Raymond Feist is a classic fantasy writer. He is along with Modesette, and I mean he's an 80s era. Like he was one of the ones for that era's like fantasy stuff. I mean he still writes today. He writes everything in this big world, but his first book was Magician, which was it was split into Apprentice and Master. And it followed a guy named Pug who was, stop me if you've heard this one, determined to be a magician, even though he had no magical talent. All he had was a ton of determination. And Raymond Feist has said that first book was built on a D&D campaign he played. So I'm like, I was wondering where the familiarity was. And I was like, it's Raymond Feist. I could definitely see some of that influence or maybe that start. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Raymond Feist as being a comparison point either, because the man's been, he's been publishing 40 years and he's got a lot of books.
Yeah.
Most of them good.
Whenever I want to like pick up a new author and start reading, I'm like, I get kind of like daunted, I guess, or discouraged by the sheer number of books that some of these guys have out. But I mean, I got the rest of my life to keep on reading. So,
well, I will say Feist is really good at making even though everything's in the same world, he is very good at making self-contained series. Like Magician is the 2 books, and then he has another trilogy, and then he has another duology and another trilogy, but they're all self-contained. So they all tell their own self-contained story, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I don't think I've read a lot of books that are set up as, I haven't even heard, this is the first time I've heard the term duology. So that's interesting. Yeah, I've told Jesse this before, but I spent too many times as a kid because I've been a reader since I was 10. I love reading, but I just read Harry Potter way too many times and didn't expand my horizons. Not that I didn't read other things, but I spent too much time reading Harry Potter, and I missed out on reading a whole bunch of other stuff. So I got to make up for it now with my BookTube channel. Matt said, if it helps, Bruce, I started when there were 9 books. Have at least the first 6 if you want to dive into it. Yeah, I think that's doable. I think I'm pretty close to having 6. what else you got here? Currently poking around the internet for places talking about the book that I'm not normally in. Found one group saying, "Oh, his views won't mesh with this genre." I'm assuming you're talking Larry's views won't.
Yeah.
I don't know about. I mean,
Well, what makes me laugh? God, these people kill me. So, what makes me laugh about the whole thing is like Larry often espouses very libertarian views, both in his work and on like X and things like that.
yeah,
And for some reason, there's this bizarre thought that like rebelling to central authority isn't a libertarian viewpoint. Like, fuck you, taxation is theft doesn't come across as rebellious at all. Like, it's like, it's mentally touched, I swear. I try really hard not to get into politics, and I'm going to make this rant short. But to think that, like, even conservative people don't understand rebelling against a harmful central authority. Like, that's never happened. Conservatives are never rebellious. That's never happened. Nobody ever got thrown out of a helicopter. Like, what? It's like, you know, like we've never done that. Like, it's just goofy. Like, dude, even if that is true, which it may be, and that's fine. Like, Larry's going to be able to handle that just fine. Like, we don't hate corporations when they do terrible things. Like, it's like, like humans don't have a natural rebellious streak to them, no matter what political side of the aisle they're on. That's so bizarre.
Yeah, and even in his books, when he like tackles like societal issues, dude, he hits both sides of it. It's interesting and it's relative to the plot. He's not like, and he talks about it on the dojo all the time. He's always like, you know, don't preach harder than you entertain, which I think he got that from. I can't remember who he said he got it from, but and he does that. Like, yeah, he talks about certain things. Like, dude, Saga of the Forgotten Warrior has all kinds of themes of like an armed
upending a caste system.
Yeah, and like and the benefit and the drawback to having like an armed citizenry, you know. And it, even though I know he's super 2A, it's an honest like kind of look at it, you know. Yeah. But anyway. Above is regarding a magician, sorry. Okay. I'm having some word vomit right now. That's what I was gonna say next. In regards to like some of these items, like his little screws that he throws, and they just like go off all crazy, like little bottle rockets, or obviously all the standard enchantments that he has for being a crawler. Azarin's little wind glove thing. It reminds me, I don't know if you guys watched My Hero Academia, but there's like, I think it's season 2 or 3 where they get to like start augmenting their powers with like equipment. Like, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the coolness of My Hero Academia, with all the crazy stuff they come up with.
I like the old school. That's a very old school thing, by the way. The not the magic as pre-established spells, but the magicians coming up with their own special spells. That's very, very old school. Mm-hmm. You know, the Tensor's floating disc is because Gary Gygax's son Ernie had a wizard named Tensor, and the kid came up with his own spell and named it. Mm-hmm. Melf's magic, you know. So like, there's all kinds of, you know, magic arrows. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah. They're named after the wizard who came up with it. So there's a lot of very old school stuff there with you know, all these underground wizards kind of making up their own spells, which I think that's kind of a fun direction too. You can go to interesting places, even though they're not the traditional or the highest power spells. That gives him the freedom as an author to let his lowbie guy surprise the higher level guys too.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see more, and this might be my one mild criticism of the book. And I know we're just getting started and we're going to have more. So like I said, it's a very mild criticism. But I do feel like throughout the entire book, magics are tied to foci really heavy. Mm-hmm. But we learn from one part of the book where it's like, hey, what kind of, like, are you an enchanter or an invoker, or like what are you? And the guy like has this whole list of like different wizards. Mm-hmm. But everybody that I see is using some kind of enchanted magic item, be it one-time use or like what's the Azin? What's her name?
Azarin.
Azarin. Yeah. Azarin's glove is like her focus. And that theme sticks really heavy, and it's a really cool theme and a really cool way to go about it. But we're hinted at that there's other ways to do magic, but we don't see a lot of it.
We got like that. The Slum Wizard, he cast that blast, and I don't think he had an item, did he? Did he just have some? I don't know.
Yeah, that might be one of the only examples.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just yells Hadouken, and there it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was like in the dark of the sewer too. Like it was, Oz was like hiding behind a wall and didn't really get a good look on it. So that guy may have had some kind of focus, but it seems like almost everybody's got something enchanted on them all the time.
Yeah. Well, you got like wand. I think the elf pulled out a wand, and he's mentioned wands several times now. Which I think it's kind of cool that he went, because most people kind of talk S on wands. They're always like, got to go with the staff, or yeah, I feel like people usually like staff are like the elite, the upper class magic fans like their staffs, and wand people are just plebs.
It's pistol / SMG versus AR is what it is. Staff's harder to carry.
Yeah,
you could just sneak a wand out on somebody real fast.
I mean,
hit him with the stick up.
On wands. If I saw Order of the Phoenix in theaters, and that battle between Voldemort and Dumbledore was pretty sick, dude. For a Harry Potter movie, that was a dope fight scene.
Oh, that was great. It was a great wizard duel.
Yeah,
not as good as Mim and Merlin, but it was a great wizard duel.
Yeah.
So that is, yeah. Well, I was going to say that's kind of a last thought I had on that, which is that I don't usually like a hyper nailed down magic system in my fantasy, where I like the Tolkien-esque magic is kind of mysterious and it's hard to it's hard to know, but that's only if your protagonist is not a wizard. If your protagonist is a wizard, if your protagonist is somebody who is going to be the focus, then you have to know what spells do as the reader. So I think I think he does a really good job of kind of showing. He has flexibility, but he shows if you're going to make a fire spell, you need some of this red stuff, and you need to use it, and you use up a certain amount of it, and that's your limitation. If you're going to use if you're going to do an air spell, then you need clear. You have all of that. It's clearly shown the different mana types. There's 6 different available mana types, and that's kind of where all the magic is. So we know it lets you kind of track things. It's just like a thriller. Like a lot of thrillers, the best thrillers, how many bullets and magazines are left in the protagonist. That this guy is down to his last mag, and he's only got 3 shots left.
And 4 bad guys.
Yeah. Right. That's key for a thriller. If it's a thriller, you need to know the limitations of the resource, and that's the same kind of thing here with the wizard. You need to know what the limitations of his magic are, and so that it's more thrilling, more interesting, so you can kind of follow along.
Yeah. I know you've read Witchy Eye, but I really, not to talk about another book, but I really like his style, because it is kind of like the caster can kind of do whatever they want, as long as there's rules in place. Like I think Isaac Newton in that world, kind of like, instead of his regular laws that we have in this world, he has these Newton's laws of magic, and as long as you follow those rules, you can basically create whatever effect you want. Whether like the language you use affects the spell, the components you use. If you're like trying to target someone, then the item you have, the closer it is to the person, like whether it's their hair or a piece of their clothing, can change the effect of the spell. So I really like how DJ Butler does it, because it's still super open for however the wizard wants to do it, but there are rules in place to govern that openness, if that makes sense. And then there's just really off the wall shit in that, and Witchy Winter, especially when we meet Sarah's brother, and he goes on a vision quest and picks up some drums and slaughters a bunch of horses and does the craziest magic I've ever seen in my life. But yeah.
I love having that happen, especially as like a voracious fantasy reader and having read all the classics and been reading since I was a small child. I love finding some new story that uses magic in like a new way or a really impressive way. Patrick Tracy, speaking of Larry, Larry was editor on I don't know if it was one of the Koreas or somebody who was involved with Noir Fatale. And there's a story in there called Worth the Scars of Dying. It's Patrick M. Tracy, and it has a necromancer in there, and his spells are the coolest necromancer spells ever. Like, I've never seen another necromancer that had such a unique way of manipulating like death magic.
Yeah.
There's like a doom bell and a spell that the title kind of reflects off of, where like there's a moment where all the damage that's done to him is taken and delivered to other people instead.
Yeah.
But still scars him up, and like it's the just incredibly unique. And so it's always cool to run into that when you really see something that blows you away.
Yeah. Yeah, I do love a good original magic system, dude. I'm liking this one for sure. Let's see here. You guys have anything else you want? We're kind of getting low on time. I put a bunch of stuff down to write. Maybe we need to extend the time. How long can you guys go? I guess I should ask.
Yeah, I got a little bit longer, but yeah, okay. These are. I mean, it's fun. I do like how it packed the chapters. There was a lot of incident.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Man, as far as the setting goes, I really like Oz's reaction to coming through the gate, seeing just how, like, coming from nothing, like basically living on a tiny wooden ship with his entire family and community, and having just bare minimum necessities that they have to go into debt for, and then coming into this like place of plenty, this massive metropolis of magical cities, literally going up into the sky, was so cool. And then contrasting it as he runs away from the watch that he did a little flashbang, like pocket sand, but it was fire sand, right? And then like takes off running. Yeah, and we get to see the slums and then the under slums. I'm very curious about the ruins from the original city that was the Nexus before the Great Machine. I have to hammer down the history. I don't have it memorized yet. But yeah, I'm interested to see about the under ruins, beneath the under slums. Yeah, I'm liking the setting. I like the sewers with the rattlings, which are really creepy and also funny that Trax just eats the shit out of them like a lot. Yeah. I like the mechanism of the machine, how it rotates the different realms and the coming and going of different people here and there. It just keeps everything fresh. And now that we know that we kind of talked about it at the beginning, but now that we know Gal Hadar is on his way, it gives us this like countdown to each like click, click, click as the days go by. I mean, it feels like each time it goes, we're going to get like something new is going to happen because it's going to be a whole new realm, and who knows what we're going to see. I mean, I guess you guys do, or Jesse, you've read it all, but yeah.
I mean, there's still questions. There's still, and I felt the same way at that point. That's why I kept reading. This was 100% one of those stories that made me continually want to see more and more of the world, what was going to happen. It had a fantastic balance of there was always something new that was on the horizon that made me go, oh, okay, I guess I wasn't tired anyway. Who needs sleep?
Yeah, I really didn't want to stop at chapter 25, but I was telling Ben before we started, I was just devouring Under a Graveyard Sky. And so I was like, I got to finish that book. So I've hit the page range I needed. Yeah, the shroud, does that makes him go invisible? I can't remember. A lot of magic's been tossed around.
Yeah, so if I'm thinking about that was the one it's death magic. So I could be misremembering.
Well, I remember it did need a physical implement, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think he already mentioned it that he had the shroud. I am also kind of intrigued by Dardic, because when he actually captures Oz, he kind of comes off as like the arrogant, cruel, noble. But then when it comes time to actually like maybe torture Oz, you see kind of like, oh, he's like, I don't know, maybe I don't need to torture this guy. And he's the middle child. And it seems like his life is basically just partying, drinking, and playing with pretty women. So like maybe he's not looked favorably upon by his father to do like family business. So he just is kind of an outcast, in his own right. So
I like how it was specifically it's bragging about being with pretty women, but there's the implication that he is lying about basically everything he says. It's I really like the characterization actually of little Derek. I mentally said Derek as soon as I started reading it every single time. He seems like a Derek. Every time I was like, this is actually not bad. He has some sympathy for him, which I like that. I like that. I mean, because people are people.
Yeah. Shroud of Fire. Yeah. I called my creation Carnarvon's Shroud of Fire and was rather proud of it. I don't think he's used it where I'm at. He hasn't used it yet, but he did mention it. He gave us like an inventory of like his snails and his screws.
He blasted the guard's eyes with it and sent.
That was the blast. Wasn't that just like a handful of red? Like there's
it's a pocket sand.
Okay. Just pocket sand. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I love that comes back when Inspector Borg is like, "Yeah, you singed off his eyebrows. He looks rather ridiculous." I do like Borg. I hope we get to see more of him too. He's seems just like a good guy, like a legit good guy. I guess we'll see how that goes.
The closest thing to it, at least.
Yeah, I mean the Argent Dardic and his boys, or his one guy was like, yeah, we can't get Borg on the ticket or on the take or whatever. We can't bribe him. He's not going to work with us. So he seems like he has kind of super high integrity character
principles.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I'm loving this book, dude. It's the kind of fantasy I really like to read. It's fun. It's like funny and it's serious, and the world just feels very developed. But yeah, I think that's really all I got for this section. You guys got anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered most of mine. I really enjoyed this book. The whole thing was great. I'm really a fan of it, and I'm looking forward to the next, talking about the next part because it's good. It's a really good book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed it more as things went on. The more and more magic got introduced, the cooler things got.
Yeah.
Trax was a fantastic addition. I love the character. 100% one of my favorites. I've enjoyed all the characters in this, and I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy is a series where you feel like you would go to the bar with that crew. Mm-hmm. Red Rising felt that way to me. Monster Hunter feels that way, where it's like, oh, you got this whole group of people, and it's like Friday night with that crew would be a blast.
Not going to a casino buffet with the Monster Hunter MHI crew, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a one-time thing. That it was just that one time. All the other buffets, it was fine. It was just that one time. Yeah, that's so. I think this book captures that. It would be a good crew.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What I like about Trax is he's not stupid, and he's not he's not trying to be funny. He's being dead serious, which I think is what makes it so funny. Is that he's just asking questions. It's hilarious, dude. Even when like Azarin says she's looking, she ran into tracks, and she's like, she sees him, and he's like literally sniffing the ground, like sniffing the blood trail. Like you're just like walking down the street and see this giant shark man just sniffing the ground. Everything about the guy is like, it's serious but funny. I love it. Evan Rose said, looking forward to the next chat. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I just love having a book club. It's so great that you guys, want to come on here and talk about it. It's awesome.
No, it's a fun book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we should probably do a page, do our range for next week. Should we do? Well, we could either do 15 again, or do 10 and then 15 the following week.
Clearly, what we need to do is 12 and a half.
Just end right in the middle of the chapter.
Exactly.
Yeah, figure out where the halfway through point in the chapter is.
Bruce, I think you're the only person still reading, so you tell us what you want to read, and we'll stick to that.
About Tyler. Is Tyler done?
If Tyler gets behind on his projects and doesn't want to show up, then he can.
He's getting in trouble at work.
Yeah. That's, no, I mean you could. Tyler's not here to give input, so if you need his input, I'd say just message him. But in all seriousness.
But yeah, if people are listening and reading along, I was trying to remember where a good endpoint is, and actually, I joked about it being halfway through, but the going through 32 actually is kind of a nice stop point in the book itself. Mm-hmm. So 32 is actually kind of a good endpoint. So that kind of gives you, I guess that would mean 12 and then 13.
Well, but 25 right now. So that would.
No, you're right. You're right. So it needs to go further. Yeah, but we can definitely work on that because we can do something in the middle.
I might just go to 40. I mean, you guys already finished it, so.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, I'll do 40, and then the fourth episode we'll just do the last 10. I'll do the last 10 chapters.
There you go.
I'll let Tyler know. Read a 40 unless he's still working on American Saucer.
Right.
I'm gonna laugh if all the stuff he put in there. I'm not gonna laugh at him, but it's gonna be humorous if all the stuff that he's putting in extra gets cut from the editor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Poor guy.
I want to read it though. It sounds cool, man. Matt said, "I hope I didn't crowd anyone out. I feel like I accidentally co-hosted via text." No, I think you were for the most part during the chat. I think you were the only one really getting down in here. I know Ben responded a couple times.
Yeah,
you're good, dude.
No, you're good.
Chat as much as you like. I love it. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. We'll see you next Monday.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Evan.
Thanks,
see you guys.
Bruce. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.